Welcome to another week of Honey from the Word. Today's devotion is titled He's in the Middle of It, 2 Samuel 23 and 12. But he stationed himself in the middle of the field, defended it, and killed the Philistines. So the Lord brought about a great victory. In the text before us, Shammah is in the middle of a field filled with lentils. Lentils are peas, so he was in the midst of a pea patch. The people of God had labored for so many months to plant their ground with lentils. They sowed the seed. They cultivated these little shoots when they broke through the ground. They watered it and on and on. It was months of back-breaking work. Now they were ready to gather the peas into the harvest. So they went out on this particular morning. But lo and behold, when they were about to gather in the harvest, the Philistines suddenly appeared in the distance. They were riding giant horses. They were clad in shining armor. The sun reflects off of their swords, and they screamed their savage yells, and it looked like sure victory for the Philistines. Everybody ran that day except for Shammah. They felt like they were no match for the Philistines. Shammah was all alone, so it appeared in the middle of this pea patch, ready to defend it. He was in the middle of a mess. How many times have you found yourself in the middle of something? In the middle of a mess, the middle of a financial crisis, maybe the middle of a health crisis, the middle of a job crisis, the middle of a family crisis. Maybe it's the middle of a church crisis, or it may be just the middle of a personal crisis. How many times have you found yourself in the middle of a mess with nowhere to go, feeling all abandoned? Well, I have good news for you today. I have always found that the Lord is always in the middle of whatever mess I may find myself in to help me defeat the enemy. You may be in the biggest storm of your life, but I'm here to tell you that the Lord is right there in the middle of it with you. Let's look at Mark chapter 6, verses 47 through 48. Now, when evening came, the boat was in the middle of the sea, and he was alone on the land. Then he saw them straining at rowing, for the wind was against them. Now, about the fourth watch of the night, he came to them walking on the sea. You see, he came out to where they were in the middle of the storm. In Daniel chapter 3, we see that the Lord is in the midst of our fiery furnaces. And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound in the middle of the burning fiery furnace. Then King Nebuchadnezzar was astonished, and he rose in haste and spoke, saying to his counselors, "Did we not cast three men bound into the midst, or the middle, of the fire?" And they answered and said to the king, "True, O king." "Look," he answered, "I see four men loose, walking in the midst, or the middle of the fire, and they are not hurt. And the form of the fourth is like the Son of God." Daniel chapter 3, verses 23 through 25. No matter what you're going through, when God is in the middle of it, you will be protected. That which the devil meant to harm you will not have any power over you. Verses 25. The king said they weren't hurt. Verse 27. Upon whose bodies the fire had no power. Verse 27. Not a hair of their head was singed. In Daniel 6, we see that God will be in the middle of your lion's den. Daniel 6, 16 through 17 and 19 through 22. So the king gave the command, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions, into the middle of the lion's den. But the king spoke, saying to Daniel, your God, whom you serve continually, he will deliver you. Then a stone was brought and laid on the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring and with the signets of his lords, that the purpose concerning Daniel might not be changed. Then the king arose very early in the morning and went in haste to the den of the lions. And when he came to the den, he cried out with a lamenting voice to Daniel. The king spoke, saying to Daniel, Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to deliver you from the lions? And then Daniel said to the king, O king, live forever. My God sent his angel, you see, in the middle of that lion's den, and he shut the lions' mouths so that they have not hurt me, because I was found innocent before him. And also, O king, I have done no wrong before you. When you are right smack dab in the middle of your biggest battle of your life, there is a God who can shut the mouths of the lions. No matter what you're going through or may go through in the future, always remember that the Lord is there with you in the middle of whatever it is. You see, I've got good news for you today. My God showed up in the middle of the lion's den, and he shut the mouth of lions. They were roaring, and when my God shuts them up, he shuts them down. You may be in the middle of a crisis, but Christ is bigger. You may be in the middle of a fiery furnace heated 7 times hotter than ever before, but God is right there in the middle of it with you. He's in the middle of your struggle. He's in the middle of your situation. He's in the middle of your storm. When God is in the middle with you, he will protect you from the power of the lions. You might feel like you are bound in the middle of a prison, but I'm here to tell you that the Lord will show up even in the middle of your prison. Think about Paul and Silas in Acts 16:23 through 26. And when they had laid many stripes on them, they threw them into prison, commanding the jailer to keep them securely. Having received such a charge, he put them into the inner prison and fastened their feet in the stocks. But at midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the prisoners were listening to them. Suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the foundation of the prison were shaken. And immediately all the doors were opened, and everyone's chains were loosed. In the middle of that prison, in the middle of the night, when all was dark, and Paul and Silas were feeling all alone, God showed up and loosed them from their bonds and from the prison. No matter what you're going through or may go through in the future, never forget this, that the Lord is there with you in the middle of whatever it is. May the Lord bless you abundantly.